Welcome friends, welcome to this video 7 of week 9. In this video we'll talk about organized crime and high pressure interrogations. We'll discuss how fear, loyalty and criminal culture reshaped linguistic behavior. Today we'll step into one of the most complex linguistic landscapes in forensic practice: the interrogations involving organized crime. These interviews are unlike standard police questioning. The suspect's mind is not concerned only with truth or deception, but it also deals with loyalty, group identity, and survival. All of these forces shape the language they use. And understanding this world requires a careful, psychologically informed linguistic approach. Individuals tied to organized crime often speak under immense threat. Fear of retaliation against themselves or their families shapes every word. Because of this, they may avoid specific names, speak in fragments, use metaphors instead of direct description, minimize involvement, or shift responsibility to unseen forces. Their goal is survival. Linguistic caution becomes a protective shield. We call it linguistic shield. And interrogators must recognize this to avoid misinterpreting fear-driven silence as obstruction. Friends, organized crime networks operate through strict loyalty structures. We call it loyalty language, the invisible contract on their words. Loyalty becomes embedded in language. Suspects may use collective pronouns like we, us, likewise, avoid implicating higher ranking members, or invoke group terminology that signals allegations. Avoid implicating higher ranking members or invoke group terminology. Their linguistic restraint reflects an internal rule, and that is, betrayal is punished more severely than arrest. Even when cooperating, their speech may show subtle loyalty markers that reveal where they belong in the hierarchy. When you talk about hierarchy and obedience, we can easily figure out through the power that is reflected in pronouns and verbs. Organized crime structures function like paramilitary organizations. Language reflects this through deferential phrases towards leaders, obedience verbs like I followed, I was told, it was decided, avoidance of direct criticism, and passive constructions used to hide agency. A lower level member may present themselves as a follower rather than a decision maker, even if they exercise significant autonomy. Linguistic role analysis helps decode their actual level of participation. Because the suspects cannot name individuals or describe events too openly, they rely on coded deflections. Yes, the coded deflection, when the answers hide more than they reveal. They use phrases like, you know how things go, I can't talk about that, or people above me handled it. Carry layered meaning. They avoid explicit reference while signaling limits. Such responses may seem evasive, but they reflect the pressure of criminal loyalty. Linguists must interpret these deflections without assuming deception. Now, when it comes to narrative narrowing, with reference to the art of speaking without saying much, organized crime suspects often compress their narratives intentionally. They offer minimal timelines, reduced emotional detail, generalized accounts, and vague descriptions. This narrowing prevents accidental disclosure. It also provides plausible deniability. The suspect can claim they answered honestly, just without elaboration. Narrative narrowing becomes a linguistic strategy under the threat. The strategic non-disclosure is the silence. Friends, silence is a statement. In organized crime interrogations, silence is not passive, it is communicative. A suspect may refuse to speak to protect their status, avoid retaliation, or convey loyalty to the group. Strategic silence indicates elegance. It also indicates a calculated internal decision. Linguistic experts evaluate how silence aligns with the norms of the criminal group and whether it reflects fear, resistance, or simply a legal caution. When we go through this concept through example, we understand it better. Let's discuss with one case example. It's about a gang member whose language revealed hidden fear. In an anonymous case, a mid-level gang associate repeatedly avoided naming a superior, referring only to the management. His speech contained long hesitation gaps, passive structures, and fragmented timelines. Although investigators thought he was being deceptive, the linguistic analysis showed these signals reflected fear rather than manipulation. Adjusted questioning led to a partial disclosure without escalating risk to the speaker. Let's discuss about another case example about loyalty phrasing identifying a hidden enforcer. In another case, linguistic profiling identified an individual's high rank within a smuggling ring. Though he presented himself as a driver, he repeatedly used group level control verbs like we decide, we allow, people answer to us. These linguistic dominance markers contradicted his claimed subordinate role. The analysis helped investigators understand his true influence within the organization. Friends, organized crime groups often indoctrinate members with ideology, rituals, and loyalty oaths. This indoctrination modifies language in several ways, like honorifics, ritualistic phrases, shared slogans, distinctive metaphors, and a sense of fatalism expressed through language. These linguistic markers are psychologically meaningful. They show commitment to group identity and reveal whether a suspect is fully indoctrinated or merely associated. Friends, forensic linguists assist not by interrogating but by advising. They help investigators recognize coded signals, identify fear-driven silence, frame questions that avoid triggering retaliation risk, distinguish loyalty from deception, interpret narrative comparison, and protect vulnerable informants. That support ensures interrogations remain ethical, effective, and sensitive. Friends, interrogations involving organized crime endanger the interviewee. Linguists must exercise care. They avoid pressuring the suspect, overinterpreting coded language, or exposing hidden meanings recklessly. Ethical reporting includes protecting identities, contextualizing fear, and revealing coercion dynamics without compromising safety. Friends, under the high pressure interrogation, language becomes more than communication. It becomes a battlefield of fear, identity, and survival. Understanding these forces allows forensic linguistics to support fairer investigative processes and safeguard to vulnerable individuals. Friends, I'm sure that you must be enjoying this. When we are moving towards the next video, we'll examine cross-linguistic and multilingual complexities in criminal testimonies, completing the deep psychological dimension of week 9. Until we meet again in the next video, stay tuned to the course. Thank you very much.